Good evening and welcome to the main news coming to you live from our Pocket Hill studios. I am Tariro Manamike. We have Susan Masona at the Sign Language Desk as well as Sibukele Maposa at our Montrose studios. Great to have you along indeed. My name is Bantla Nepure and these are tonight's top stories. The government says it remains committed to accelerating national development. Heavy rains expected this week amid fears of possible flooding. A look at the arts. Zimbabwe celebrates one of the most successful pageantry seasons in recent history. And in sports news, Warriors coach sweats over team players' injuries ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations. Well, our leading story tonight, President Emmerson Mnangagwa says the government is determined to weed out corruption without fear or favor. This comes as Zimbabwe joined the rest of the world in commemorating International Anti-Corruption Day today. Our diplomatic correspondent, Josephine Mugio, was at State House.
The 9th of December is set aside as International Anti-Corruption Day, and Zimbabwe, being a signatory of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, also commemorates this day. This Tuesday saw President Emmerson Mnangagwa delivering an anti-corruption speech at the State House here in Harare. In his speech, he stated the country's zero tolerance on corruption, highlighting that since the launch of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy in 2020, over 2,500 cases have been investigated.
The Second Republic, under my leadership, remains informed by our shared development aspirations, which are firmly anchored on the unequivocal principles of good governance, institutional integrity, and zero tolerance stance on corruption. As such, I launched the first national anti-corruption strategy in July 2020. Since then, close to 2,500 corruption cases were investigated. Over 800 dockets were sent to the National Prosecuting Authority for prosecution, with a 60% conviction rate on finalized cases. The country has also recovered assets worth over US $20 million procured using proceeds of corruption.
As President Mnangagwa commended the Zimbabwe National Anti-Corruption Team as well as the National Prosecuting Authority for a job well done, he said there is need to strengthen their investigative capacity.
I commend the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission and the National Prosecuting Authority for this conviction rate. However, more must be done to strengthen their investigative capacity and the synergies to expunge the perception of a catch and release trend in our approach to corruption cases.
When dealing with corruption cases, there is need to ensure they are dealt with as swiftly as possible. To this end, President Mnangagwa said the country's court system is now fast-tracked to ensure this is achieved.
On its part, my government has introduced a fast-track court system to promote efficiency and expedite the resolution of cases, particularly those involving corruption and other economic crimes.
The head of state made it clear that his government will weed out corruption without fear or favor.
Let me conclude by restating that The constitution of our beloved motherland, Zimbabwe, is supreme. No one is above the law. My government will weed out and eradicate corruption without fear or favor. Under my leadership, corruption will never be allowed to derail or delay our ongoing quest to accelerate realization of the National Development Agenda, that is the Vision 2030, and a higher standard of living for the people of our country.
Josephine Mugio, ZBC News, Harare.
Emmerson Mnangagwa has handed over vehicles that will be used by district development officers under the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa has handed over 35 of the 72 vehicles earmarked for district development officers, with the emphasis on equipping this key demographic group to be active players in national development.
I'm assuring them that every district will have their own motor vehicle, but this is the first batch we have issued out for purpose of mobility and to facilitate their work as youths.
The Minister of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training, Honorable Tinoma Chakaire, expressed gratitude to the President for ensuring officials from the Youth Ministry are capacitated to carry out their mandate.
Firstly, I would like to thank His Excellency the President, Comrade Edie Mnangagwa, for making his effort in terms of developing the youth constituency. These are the tools of trade that we were talking about last time, and I want to assure the fellow Zimbabweans that from now going forward, we are going to see a huge improvement in terms of youth programs, youth initiatives, developing various programs that are youth related. Because if you look at it, this ministry, it's a new ministry, but we did not have adequate tools of trade. But because of these cars that we've been given today, we are going to increase our programs. As
highlighted by Honorable Machakaire, capacitating youths will also ensure they are kept away from drug and substance abuse. Minister Machakaire also noted that under National Development Strategy 2, the youth dividend is expected to make significant contributions to development projects. Josephine Mugio, ZBC News, State House.
Now, the government has reaffirmed its commitment to accelerating national development across key sectors of the economy. This was one of the key takeaways from this Tuesday's post-cabinet media briefing in Harare.
The 37th post-cabinet media briefing outlined major progress under the third cycle of the 100-day priority projects of 2025, reflecting steady movement towards meeting milestones under the National Development Strategy 1 and laying the foundation for NDS 2.
The Minister of Information, Communication Technology, Postal and Courier Services reported progress for projects under her purview as follows. 30 health institutions were connected to facilitate telemedicine, whilst 280 Starlink kits were procured for 280 health institutions. The ministry is in partnership with Sunway City for the establishment of a technology park. 20 computer laboratories were resourced with ICT gadgets. 2 renewable energy base stations were deployed, while 4 are at various stages in terms of completion. 1,740 homes were connected to the fiber to the home digital connectivity program, and 6x3 and 4G base stations are at various stages in terms of completion. 6 LTE base stations were completed and commissioned, and the 30 kilometers in terms of civil works were completed for the Bulawayo Victoria Falls Kazungula project.
The Ministry of ICT, Postal and Courier Services reported significant strides in expanding digital infrastructure nationwide.
It's our thrust within the Ministry of ICT to make sure that we bridge the rural and urban divide. And what we have put in place within the AI strategy is for us to have a rural audit, AI audit, whereby we really find out our state of preparedness in terms of the adoption of AI within the rural population. I'm sure before we approved the AI strategy, we had the readiness assessment methodology report which was presented, which we collaborated together with the UNDP. And there we then noted areas of concern.
Zimbabwe has activated its 2025 to 2026 multi-hazard contingence plan, a national preparedness framework designed to strengthen the country's ability to anticipate, respond, and recover from disasters expected over the next rainy season.
The plan outlines national disaster preparedness, coordination systems, response mechanisms, and resource requirements to predict, prevent, mitigate, prepare, and respond to potential emergencies associated with the 2025-2026 rainfall season. The overall aim of the plan is to strengthen capacity for preparedness and response from the national to the sub-national levels, cascading to village levels, in order to enhance timely and coordinated response to emergencies by the government of Zimbabwe, working together with stakeholders.
The plan emphasizes decentralization to village level.
With the advent of technology, we are now using, people have got exposure to radio information, television, use of social media. These are the various areas or systems that we use to communicate information upwards and downwards. So we predominantly focus on indigenous knowledge system, because that is the information that is there first before all other support systems come from central government, come from the local authorities. Local authorities have got clearly defined the structures that we use through WADCOs and VIDCOs, which we also use. But we also use the ruling party structure system in terms of communication.
The Cabinet also received and adopted the Kariba floating solar power plant.
The Kariba floating solar power plant is an initiative to generate 600 megawatts on Kariba through private sector investment. The solar power generation is meant to augment hydropower supplies from Kariba Power Station, which has had fluctuations due to recurring hydrological constraints and declining lake levels. The Kariba floating solar plant seeks to preserve water during the day through solar generation utilizing water which will be available for increased night hydro power generation, and also to stabilize power output and to enhance climate resilience and ensure long-term sustainability in terms of Kariba power systems.
In the end, today's Cabinet set the tone for a year of intensified delivery, from ICT to infrastructure development, health, as well as broadcasting infrastructure. What remains now is implementation as Zimbabwe steps into 2026 and NDS2 with high expectations. Abigail Tembo, ZBC News, Harare.
The recovery and expansion of two local firms has been described as a testament to the growth of the economy's manufacturing value chain, which is a successful outcome of the National Development Strategy 1.
This is the Blue Ribbon Foods, one of the household names in the country's manufacturing industry. About 10 years ago, this company was on the verge of collapse due to a myriad of factors, but as we speak, it is now on a strong road to recovery, churning more than 600 tons of grain on a daily basis. The Minister of Industry and Commerce, Honorable Mangaliso Ndlovu, took time to assess how the manufacturing industry is fast evolving.
We have invested a new state-of plant, which is worth $80 million in Masasa to improve the efficiencies. Then after, we have also resuscitated our plants in Bulawayo and Plymouth, and we also introduced the noodles production plant into Zimbabwe, which is first of its kind. So we also invested a silo capacity to assist the farmers, which is 30,000 tons. Our existing capacity is 10,000. Then we have added 30,000 to make it total 40,000 tons capacity.
The minister also toured Davy Peo in Sunway City, owned by indigenous industrialist Mr. Davison Norupiri, which has grown to manufacture a range of fast-moving consumer goods and is now on a robust expansion drive.
Our plant is actually a 10-key project. It's actually a brand new plant which we procured from Turkey, and this plant is mainly to produce broiler feed or chicken feed, and we are in the process of putting up a beef plant as well. All these investments are actually being triggered due to the ease of doing business.
Minister Love summed up the assessment tour as evidence of successful stories of industrial transformation under NDS-1.
Blue Ribbon is an interesting story. He took us through his new stock feed manufacturing plant, which is currently doing the stock feed for the chickens, and is soon bringing in the cattle stock feed manufacturing. Again, we are utilizing our agricultural produce.
The country has already transitioned into the National Development Strategy 2 policy document, which was launched by President Emmerson Mnangagwa about a fortnight ago, and one of the pillars of structural economic transformation seeks to entrench some of the gains earned from the NDS-1 of creating more new industries and also modernizing the manufacturing sector. Owen Malova, ZBC News, Harare.
Well, there is excitement with the National Crop Outlook. Over 1 million hectares of maize has been planted countrywide since the onset of the rainfall season. Now, this figure is a jump from 400,000 hectares that was planted during the same period last year.
The incessant rains being received countrywide have triggered a lot of agricultural activity across the country. And as you can see, some are planting, some are preparing their land, while others have started putting herbicides and fertilizer.
Sevechidikiso tiri kumhanya nebasa kutoti mbeu diwane kugara pasi.
Takatanga kudyara chibage zvakanaka apa tikutodyarawo seya beans. Tinotarisira gore rino tichava kuhwa matani janangati ari nani.
Latest statistics that we got from Ngungunyani building show that the National Crop Planting Outlook is promising a bountiful season, with farmers recording a 158% increase in maize production as compared to last year.
It's predicted that the rains are going to continue into next week. So farmers are encouraged to continue planting. In terms of the update on the hectarage planted, maize, we've done just over 1 million hectares compared to just over 400,000 hectares at this time last year. So we've now planted 58% of our targeted 1.8 million hectares of maize, which is 158% above last year. We're also doing very well in terms of sorghum, where we have now done over 250,000 hectares against our target of 440,000 hectares.
Joining us here is the Chief Agronomist, Mr. Ivan Craig, to tell us more. Mr. Ivan Craig, the season is the best, almost favorable to all farmers. And what advice can you give to the farmers?
We would want to advise farmers to make sure they plant some crops and varieties which are suited best into their ecological regions, and also plant population plays an important role.
With the NDS-2 outlining the climate-proof concept as the panacea for food security, over 15 million Fumvudza Intwasa plots have been planted so far, as the presidential free import scheme continues to give a lifeline to over 3.5 million households in rural areas. Tendai Munengwa, ZBC News in Norton.
And now communities in high-risk areas such as Manicaland, Midlands, Masvingo, as well as Matabeleland South provinces have been urged to be on high alert in the wake of heavy rains, which may lead to possible flooding.
Heavy rains of up to 50 millimeters in a single day are expected to pound some parts of the country amid fears that it could trigger flooding.
Basically, we should expect heavy rains, and as you are seeing right now, our soils are already saturated in most areas, and it is very easy now for rivers to get flooded. 50 millimeters is a lot of rain. I mean, heavy rains start from around 30 millimeters going upwards, and 50 millimeters is a substantial amount of rain, but it is not the cyclone type of rain. It is those amounts of rain that you expect to see rivers flooding, as well as you see a lot of swampy areas being filled with water and everything like that.
The Department of Civil Protection is already on the ground, working to avert any crisis that could put communities at risk.
As the Civil Protection Department, we have activated our structures in all these provinces.
The impact of heavy rains and winds is already being felt in Shamva and Chiredzi, among others, with huge costs on infrastructure.
Well, on the other hand, more than 90 families have been left stranded after a heavy storm ripped through Gowora area in Shamva district of Mashonaland Central Sunday night.
Villagers in the Gowora area of Shamva are picking up the pieces after the severe hailstorm, which also left one person injured.
Saka dzimba yakaenda marata apo ndomba maitorara vana sezvakaita mairara vana vasikana mairara mukomana saka dzese zvita kutongogara one room saka zvinhu zvakawanda zvakangopwanyika pwanyika. Kuita musi weSunday kuma3 tofunga imvura yakangoya samazisi chikuti pamwe hakuna mvura asi yakazongoya ine dutu yekuti takashiya zoti totangira papiwo dzimba chedzima tanga tiri denga raitongopfunywa takatongomira mvura takatongopusha dhoo tisingakwanisi kana kutomira kana papi.
Kwauya dutu remhepo rakauya zvakanyanyisa ranga rine zvivhura mahwe rikatakura zvakawanda marata madhishi mbatya rikapwanya imba yese.
21-year-old Lashwit Zinoro of Dambaza village and his family are the worst affected as their house was damaged beyond repair.
Ndechigara inini nemunin'ina wangu anga achishandisa imwe room nemukadzi wake achishandisa yangu room nemukadzi wake nehanzvadzi dzedu saka sofa ini pakatoshata takutotsvaga dzimwe dzimba dzekunoloja madziwa nini.
Shamva District Development Coordinator Mr. Clever Machekera said teams have been dispatched to the area to assess the situation.
As the Civil Protection Unit Shamva District, we are still running around to mobilize help and assistance for the affected families. About 30 of them, they need assistance in terms of temporary shelter. So far, we have talked to our partners and the Department of Civil Protection. There are promises that we can get assistance.
The Civil Protection Department is advising people to take safety precautions at this rainfall season to prevent loss of life and property. Tapiwa Machemedze, ZBC News, Shamva.
The government has suspended duty on fertilizer imports for 12 months, and this is in order to facilitate affordable pricing and to boost agricultural production.
The suspension of import duty on fertilizer is coming as a huge booster for industry and the farming sector, as this will make the product more available and affordable. With the summer cropping season looking more favorable, fertilizer demand is expected to be high. A move interventions by the government are being described as positive in sustaining the growth in the agricultural production as well as aspirations for food security.
We are happy that we are also going to increase our hectarage because we will be having more disposable income on our side to buy more of the tonnage of the fertilizer. To our employees, they will also be happy because we pass it on where we have been failing to meet their salaries, and their allowances will also be increasing. Everyone is a winner in this decision that has been taken by our government.
Zvinoita kuti tikwanise kurima ndima dzakati kurei nekuda kwekuti fertilizer inenge yakachipa
gohwo redu rinokwanisawo kuti kurei neruzhinji runenge rusingakwanisawo kutenga mafertilizer nekuda kwekudhura vanenge vakukwanisawo kuwana mukana wekutenga fertilizer.
I think zvinobatsira especially panyaya yekurima chikafu chakawanda because tichikwanisa kufida minda yedu nefertilizer yakakwana nezvese zvinongodiwa zvakakwana pa lese kana pa hectare.
But what are the implications of the latest government's directive on farmers? An agronomist, Mr. Gerald Mafere, had this to say.
Farmers will be able to increase hectareage under crop production. Be it whatever crop people are doing, they actually need fertilizer to do that. So that increase in hectareage will mean there's going to be better yields and there's going to be food production in the country. So subsidizing at productivity level will actually make life easy. For those guys who were not so sure whether to get into farming or not to get into farming, they'll be able to get into farming.
Suspension of duty for fertilizer imports feeds into the National Development Strategy 2 aspirations towards consolidating gains in the farming industry while also sustaining food security requirements for Zimbabwe. Stanley James, ZBC News, Harare.
Now, the government has implored urban councils to replicate the Geopomona waste management model, which has seen the country record remarkable success in managing and transforming waste into energy.
This is Bulawayo's major dam site, Ngozi Mine, originally designed in the early 1990s with a lifespan of about 20 to 25 years. Government is encouraging the Bulawayo City Council to replicate the Geopomona waste management model in order to turn waste into energy and improve waste management.
It is government's intention to replicate similar PPP arrangements in all major centers across the country. This is in line with His Excellency, the President's call to action to modernize municipal services so that they reflect the standards of an upper middle income society.
The poor management of waste here at Ngozi Mine is a ticking time bomb, given the perennial hygiene-related diseases witnessed throughout the country.
Fanele maybe kube le ndawo lapho kulahlelwa khona ongadluli khona abantu for it to be safe, because labona even now sokugcwele impukani sokunyanyisa, especially bengachisa nanhlale eCountry Park intuthu leyani yangena like endlini and it affects abantu abaningi especially aba-asthmatic.
Mini problem engiyibonayo la i-council like now they don't put abantu to enforce ukuthi into zabafuna zihambe njani. I want to give you an example. Ungahamba from UCE to Entumbane, so kufana la khona and there's no one to put anything in order khonapho. So i-council kumele behleleke.
Uyabona izibi zingihamba zichithachitha indawo yonke, kuletha i-mosquito, kulethe ini lana ebantwini okungenza ukuthi umuntu aphile kuhle empilweni yakhe.
The Bulawayo local authority admitted Ngozi Mine dam site is not functioning as it should, revealing a tender process for a public-private partnership has already been flighted.
Ngozi Mine is not functioning as well as it should, and we are in need of a public-private partnership arrangement with the company to come in to ensure that we get a waste management facility which can convert waste to energy and also waste to aggregates.
The emulation of the Geopomona waste management model, a modern waste management system that transforms the waste into energy, is expected to contribute significantly to a cleaner environment in the city of Bulawayo. Lisa Corrida, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
The trial of murder suspect Jason Muvevi, who is facing 4 counts of murder and 4 counts of attempted murder, is expected to commence at the High Court on the 16th of March next year.
The case, which took place in 2023 and drew national attention due to the violent nature of the alleged crimes, will proceed on a continuous roll, which means the case will run uninterrupted for 4 days. Muvevi of Ruzane village is being accused of killing 4 people and attempting to kill 4 others in 2023. Maxwell Wole, who was stationed at Wedza Police Station, Munashe Majani, who was a bartender, and Crispin Kaneruseru were among the victims. In January in 2023, for reasons yet unclear, Muvevi drove to a Joani Masowe Echishanu Apostolic Church shrine in Wedza, where his mother Shupikai Muvevi was in attendance, together with other congregants. At the shrine, he allegedly shot the prophet and leader of the shrine. He then sped off and proceeded to Wedza Business Center, where he later shot Inspector Hove. Muvevi fled to Mozambique, where he was later arrested. Muvevi was initially examined by 2 psychiatrists at Chikurubi who confirmed that he was mentally challenged. However, the latest results confirmed that Muvevi is now fit to stand trial. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
Right, there are more stories that you can find on our website. You're free to go there. It's www.zbcnews.co.zw. We're also found on social media or platforms. Just type in ZBC News online. You should be able to find us and get all the latest information and news.
And now here's stories still to come in this bulletin. Zimbabwe celebrates one of the most successful pageantry seasons in recent history. And in sport, Warriors coach sweats over team players' injuries ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations. Those stories and more in the second half of the bulletin, but for now we take a short break. Stay with us.
Zimbabwe inhaka yedu. Zimbabwe is our heritage. This first season is the right time to travel.
Local is local.
Zimbabwe 2025, #1 destination in the world, according to Forbes magazine. This festive season, travel local and experience our heritage. Zimbabwe, inhaka yedu, ilifa letu. Experience Zimbabwe. Zimbo.
Bambo yemwana muri kutunzira zvinhu zvakaita zvitsaru zvakadare izvi. Mashayewo here zvimwe zvinhu zvingobva kumwe kunyika dzakasiyana siyana.
Ndipo patiri kutaura kuti kurasa chiri mumaoko ngekuda kuombera. Uyu muti mugoti idzi basengere aya. Handiti kuona kuti ichi ivhu iri remunyika munomu. Munyika masi muno mukacherechedza kuti hapana chatisina. Miti, zvicherwa, mhuka, zvese tinazvo. Tikatarisa kuEastern Highlands uku tine masamba, tikaenda kuHwange tine marasha, tobva taenda kuGreat Zimbabwe, Kariba, magetsi angogadziwa ipapo. Toenda pachiadzwa apa tine madiamonds. Saka muri kuona kuti hurumende ichirayira bazi redzidzo remuno muZimbabwe rakaparura dzidzo yakatsamira pazviwanikwa zvaso kuitira kuti tisiyane nekatsika kekuti ifefe munyika muno tingotenga pfungwa dzewena wanhu wari kunza kwenyika. Toda zvinhu made in Zimbabwe. Toda kuti patinosvika muna 2030 tinge tatine pundutso yepakati nepakati. Saka heritage based curriculum idzidzo yekurodza pfungwa, miono, manzwiro, zvese nemaoko kuti tikwanise kuseenzesa zviwanikwa zvotinazvo kuti tiite pundutso yekuti nyika yedu isumukire. Saka masoko andiri kukutaurira aya ari kubva kuMinistry of Primary and Secondary Education Zimbabwe.
Well, Welcome back. You're still watching the main news. The Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, Minister Twererai Moyo, says parents must apply to schools they are genuinely willing to send their children to. This comes as 2 weeks after the announcement of grade 7 results. Parents are still trying to find placement for their children.
We have enough Form 1 places in all our schools. In fact, when it comes to boarding places, that's where we might have a challenge, because we have 25,000 vacancies for boarding places against over 160,000 students who passed grade 7 examinations. But we have introduced the EMAP, where students selected online their choices. Those who completed the EMAP facility do not have challenges because they are picked online. All the hassles where parents used to drive from one school to the other are gone because of this important development that we introduced. But I'm cognizant of the fact that some students failed to do the EMAP, whilst others, they are also very selective. I'm aware of students who have been accepted by certain schools and they have declined because they have their preferred choices. So sometimes as ministry, we have to assist those parents or those students, and I urge them to visit our district education offices, provincial offices, even the head office. We have assisted many students.
And now we cross over to our Montrose studios where Sibukele Maposa is on standby. Good evening, Sibu.
Thank you very much, Tadi. Good evening, Zimbabwe. We now take a look at the news from this end. Binga district in Matabeleland North Province has recorded a remarkable surge in tourism activities in the year 2025, signaling renewed momentum in the region's tourism activities.
Local operators say the upward trend has been driven mainly by major festivals hosted in the district, as well as continued marketing of Binga's unique natural attractions.
We have recorded an increase in business in 2025 compared to 2024. The increase was largely driven by festivals such as Binga Marathon, Mama Susan Foundation, and Vatonga. These activities continue to attract people into our destination alongside other attractions in Binga.
Been seeing some good numbers in most of the days, especially during the marathon that we had, the Kasambabezi Marathon. We also had some good numbers during the cultural festival. I believe that this has been possible because of the continuous marketing that we've been doing for Binga, and then also the novelty seeking by certain clients who actually want to see new places in Binga, especially want to see the Sand Beach, want to go for a cruise.
The Binga Tourism Association chairperson, Ms. Teresa Leach, also confirmed a strong year for the district's hospitality industry.
It's actually been a better year in the tourism because we're looking at the performance, even with the occupants in the lodges. It's been much better. Why am I saying this? It's because of the events.
Beyond the festivals, visitors continue to be drawn to Binga's natural wonders, including its white sand beach, fishing activities, and the famed hot springs. Tichaona Kurewa, ZBC News, Binga.
Zimbabwe continues to make significant strides in consolidating investments in the country's postal and courier services sector through innovation and revised legal frameworks.
Far from the generalized view that postal services are dying, Zimbabwe has tapped into innovation and digital technology to prove that the sector is on a transformative drive. Commemorations to mark World Post Services Day held in Nyamandlovu this Monday brought to the fore government strides in the sector, including attraction of new investors.
New operators, about 4 of them, have been licensed in 2025 under the revised framework. At the same time, international courier giants like DHL and FedEx have renewed their licenses for another 10 years, demonstrating continued confidence in Zimbabwe as a viable market.
The post stands as an essential, accessible and trusted service. It reaches out to rural communities, remote villages, and underserved regions, areas that often feel disconnected from urban centers.
Government has pledged to continue facilitating the smooth flow of courier and postal services in the country as they are critical to local socio-economic dynamics.
Today we reflect on the vital role of postal services in connecting people, powering economic development, and integrating Zimbabwe into the global digital landscape. Umongameli wethu ubaba Idi Mnangagwa uyaqongosela ukuthi kungavi lo muntu njalo lesigaba esisalela emuva kwezontuthukiso yamagagasi.
The commemorations also witnessed the launch of an AI-powered Zimpost chatbot known as Sikichimi, which translates to the messenger. The innovation is expected to transform postal and courier services in the country. Meanwhile, 23 schools in Matabele North received laptops and Starlink kits as government continues to close the digital gap across the country. Mhlomuli Ncube, ZBC News, Nyamandlovu.
The recapitalization of the National Railways of Zimbabwe is on course, with the parastatal having gone into partnership with Zimasco to refurbish its wagons and locomotives.
The country's railway giant, the National Railways of Zimbabwe, has refurbished over 80 wagons and 4 locomotives. The move is meant to boost the railway giant's efficiency in moving cargo.
As you have mentioned, we have done 83 out of 100 wagons, I think, for the Zimasco TPP project. And currently we've finished another 11 and we're left with 7. So by the end of this year, we would have done the 100, which were part of the project. And from there, also part of the project was 3 locomotives. And in June, we released 1 locomotive that was 1009 towards the project. And now we're left with the 2 locomotives and hope to release them by end of this year.
The wheels for the wagons that are undergoing refurbishment undergo wheel profiling as part of efforts to ensure that they are strong and durable.
What you see behind me is a new monoblock that is being bored, because when you buy these monoblocks, the bore on the center is too small. So basically why we do that is so that at least we use the exhaust that we reclaim. So now after we've received the new monoblock, we measure the size of the axle, and then we board the monoblocks to the size of the axle so that we can then assemble and fit them together.
Through these workshops that are being done here, NRZ will be able to match the business available locally and regionally.
So what we are doing in our workshops is to regenerate our rolling stock, that is our locomotives and our wagons. We realized that going into NDS2, there is going to be accelerated production, especially in the manufacturing sector and in the mining sectors. Therefore, we are increasing our capacity in order to meet that anticipated increased demand.
The refurbishment exercise is a cost-effective measure that is in line with the rehabilitation agenda under NDS2. Lisa Correra, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
Well, that'll be all from the Montrose News Desk. I am Siriela Maposa. Tari and Butler, over to you for the rest of the bulletin from this end. Good evening.
Thank you very much for those stories, Sibukile. And indeed, we continue with the main news bulletin from our Pocket Hill studios. Now, the trial of Prophetic Healing and Deliverance Ministries leader, Walter Magaya, who is accused of rape and fraud, is expected to start in January next year.
Magaya was back again here at the Harare Magistrates Court this Tuesday, where he is facing allegations of rape and fraud. On fraud charges, Magaya is being jointly charged together with his wife Tendai and their 2 companies. Appearing in court this Tuesday, the state advised the court that both matters be postponed to 26 January next year for indictment to the High Court. The court also heard that Magaya's fraud charges will proceed at the High Court, while the rape charges will commence here at the Harare Magistrates Court. Magaya was arrested last month on allegations of rape and fraud, and he appeared before Harare Regional Magistrate Mrs. Marijuana Zogofa, who opposed Magaya to be admitted to bail. The PhD leader later approached the High Court, where he was admitted to bail. Despite the state's claims that Magaya has cases to answer, the PhD leader is denying all these allegations. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
Now, Zimbabwe is set to join the rest of the world in marking International Human Rights Day tomorrow, with the country having recorded significant strides within the legal industry. The Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission chairperson, Ms. Fungai Jesse Majome, speaks on Zimbabwe's progress in terms of human rights promotion and protection.
Our constitution, with its expansive declaration of rights, is testimony to Zimbabwe's commitment to its international rights obligations. It harmonizes domestic laws with global human rights standards, guaranteeing the rights to education, health care, access to information, equality and non-discrimination, personal security, fair labor standards, environmental rights, access to justice, and many other rights that are essential in our everyday lives. It reminds us that human rights are not a matter of charity, but are minimum core standards guaranteeing the inherent dignity of every person. The Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission acknowledges that as a nation, we have taken notable steps in honoring our international commitments. We take note as the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission of the commendable reforms in the justice delivery sector that are aimed to strengthen access to courts and legal remedies. But we also expect and hope that the integrated electronic case management system is examined and developed further to ensure that it indeed broadens access to everyone and does not serve as a barrier.
The government has intensified efforts to strengthen national data systems, with the Zimbabwe Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey being taken to formerly marginalized areas like Gandanzara in Makoni district of Manicaland province.
Tucked away deep in Makoni district, nearly 100 kilometers from Nyanga, and one of the hardest places to reach by road is Gandanzara, a mountainous farming community. Yet this day, this once marginalized village has become part of a national data drive shaping Zimbabwe's future. A mother of four, Mazita Basket, like many, survives on farming, and one of the respondents under the Zimbabwe Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey, seeking to establish the situation around water safety, health and distances for her children to access social services.
Ongoro iruitka irutibatsira pakuti hatichafamba ma long distances kutsvaga ma hospitals kuenda clinic newana izvozvezvi irain season zvoti hatikwanisi mamwe marwizi tinoyambuka marwizi saka hatikwanisi kuzoyambuka bako.
Getting here is not easy. Survey teams navigated steep mountains and rough treks in a deliberate push to ensure no community is too remote to be counted. Beyond interviews, technical tests are also underway.
Maybe a way for the government to intervene and see whether people are using clean, safe water. So basically in this survey, we are checking for water contamination.
The survey, being implemented by Zimstat in partnership with UNICEF Zimbabwe, is part of strengthening national evidence systems under the National Development Strategy 2, while focus on hard-to-reach areas like Gandanzara is deliberate.
We are trying to reach every corner of the country with this survey, in line with the government's thrust of leaving no one and no place behind in its policy formulation and in the implementation of policies. So the mixed surveys will assist government to come up with policies to assist the communities, inform the evidence, which is in line with the NDS2.
Zimstat says the value of the survey lies in its ability to influence policy formulation and resource allocation.
Look at the previous round of mix, we had an indicator about child marriage, and this informed government policy on child marriage, which was passed by Parliament.
From Gandanzara's mountain slopes to urban high-density suburbs, Zimbabwe's fourth mix survey is reaching nearly 11,000 households and 400 enumeration areas nationwide, with the data set to shape national priorities on health, education, water, sanitation, nutrition, and child protection, among other pillars. Wellington Makonese, ZBC News, Makoni.
Right, when we come back from the break, we will be looking at your arts news, and then later on, Lawrence will bring us sport. Stay with us.
The Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development will host the third edition of the Presidential Innovation Fair on the 11th of December 2025 at the Harare International Conference Center, HICC, under the theme Innovation for Economic Growth, from Prototype to Commercialization. The event will showcase cutting-edge innovations and technologies developed by Zimbabwean innovators and institutions in line with Heritage-Based Education 5.0 and the country's pursuit of Vision 2030. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, will officially open the event and also present awards and prizes to outstanding 2025 innovators. The fair will open its doors to both public and the media, providing them with the opportunity to explore exhibitions, engage in pitching sessions, and experience Zimbabwe's talent and innovative solutions driving national development. This national event celebrates homegrown innovation, promotes industrialization, and supports the transformation of prototypes into commercially viable products. Be informed, be inspired, witness the future of Zimbabwe's innovation.
Driving against oncoming traffic can kill. The Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe has noted with great concern and taken into account the increase in number of vehicles on the roads of Zimbabwe, leading to motorists taking the law into their own hands and driving against oncoming traffic. Motorists are advised to desist from putting the lives of pedestrians, passengers, and themselves in danger by driving against oncoming traffic, as this can cause accidents and the loss of life. Such actions will result in the motorists facing the full wrath of the law. We advise motorists to exercise caution and patience as we create third lanes for public transportation and buses to decongest traffic on the roads of Zimbabwe. Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, keeping you safe on the roads of Zimbabwe.
This is AFCON, my friend. Everything is a competition. Everything.
So here they come for the opening game, and away we are here at the African Cup of Nations.
Join our family meeting from the 21st of December to the 18th of January. Purchase a decoder for $30. AFCON 2025, live on SuperSport.
Right, let's take a look at the arts now. Zimbabwe is basking in glory after one of the most successful pageantry seasons in recent history. This coming after the country earned international pageant placements, a continental crown, and its highest combined global ranking to date.
The year 2025 saw Zimbabwe's presence in international pageantry reaching new heights, marking one of the country's most successful runs across major global competitions. For the first time, the country was placed at 3 of the big 4 pageants: Miss Universe, Miss World, and Miss International. In Tokyo, Yolanda Chimbarami delivered a landmark performance at Miss International 2025 after earning a first runner-up slot and also claiming the Miss International Africa title, marking Zimbabwe's highest achievement at the major 4 global pageants since independence. In Bangkok, Lashanda Moyes advanced to top 30 at Miss Universe, while in Hyderabad, Courtney Jongo made to top 40 at Miss World. These performances strengthened Zimbabwe's growing international footprint. On the African continent, another milestone was achieved by Kundai Benure, who became the first Zimbabwean to win the Miss Africa crown after being named Queen in Calabar, Nigeria. Experts are proud that 2025 stands apart from previous high points, such as Angelina Musasiwa's 4th place finish at Miss World in 1994 and Corinne's top 10 spot at Miss Universe.
This year has been an amazing year. For the first time, Zimbabwe has managed to place in big pageants. And so far, I see that with the effort that the directors are also putting, it's actually putting us on the map. Remember, when they go out there, they're not representing themselves. They're representing a country. They talk more about their countries. And those introduction videos, if you look at them, they showcase a bit about Zimbabwe, which gives people an insight of what they can see when they come here.
Unlike those individual breakthroughs, 2025 marks the first time Zimbabwe succeeded across several pageants in the same year. At Miss Earth, Zimbabwe's best record remains the top 8 finalists reached by Thandi Muringa in 2011 and Sakile Dube in 2022. But with this year's strong momentum, expectations are high for an even stronger challenge in upcoming editions. Patience Nyagato, SABC News, Harare.
Well, we say well done to the ladies, and with that, we take a break. But when we come back, Lawrence Trusida will be giving us the latest in the world of sport. Stay with us.
Festive is here, Shah. First Street lights up, and suddenly the vibe is back. It stretches from Harare to Hollywood, even to Old Trafford. Jesse Gilles Festive. All I want this festive season? The stories that keep us hooked. The ngoma, the rhythm, the laughter, the drama, the goals, the world-class entertainment that brightens up the holidays for the whole family. All I want is DSTV.
Get ready. All in one place. Introducing the new Zim Digital Decoder so you can enjoy more in full HD for free without monthly subscriptions. You can now get to enjoy Zimbabwe's best and new TV and radio channels on the Zim Digital Decoder countrywide. All you need to do is purchase your Zim Digital Decoder for $25 or Zig equivalent. This is a once-off payment for the decoder, no monthly subscriptions. Hurry and get your Zim Digital Decoder at Transmedia Offices, Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe, Kingstones, Ground Floor, Harare, and all TV broadcasters. Zim Digital, tirimotese sonke skona.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on Sports News this evening. My name is Lawrence Trusida. We start off with football news where Warriors coach Marin Marinika is sweating over injuries that have rocked the team ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations, which kicks off on the 21st of this month in Morocco.
The Warriors regrouped this Monday with the South African contingent now in camp, while some overseas-based players have also touched down. The team has been hard at training, but they have been set back after utility player Jordan Zemura picked up an injury this Monday as his side fell 2-1 to Shinoa, and adds to the growing concerns in the Warriors camp after vice-captain Marshall Monetsi was forced to miss Wolves' league match against Manchester United on Monday due to a muscle injury. Warriors captain Marvelous Nakamba is however pleased with the competitive environment in camp.
Yeah, to the supporters, we are promising them we'll give our all and we'll fight for the badge, for the flag of the country, and we'll give everything for the country. And also as players, we're training hard in camp, so we just want to say keep on supporting us and we won't disappoint you.
In a related development, the fans have been disappointed by what looks like a substandard Warriors kit which was unveiled this Monday, taking to social media to express their dissatisfaction.
So much for the Warriors. Moving on, Zimbabwe Cricket has named a 15-man squad for the 2026 ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup, which will be hosted by Zimbabwe and Namibia beginning on the 15th of January next month. Simbarashe Mzengerere will captain the side that includes the exciting Blignot brothers Kian and Michael, as well as Nathaniel Slabangana and Takuzwa Makoni, among others. The tournament features 16 teams, starting off at a group stage with the final set to be staged in Harare. Matches in Zimbabwe will be played at Harare Sports Club, Takashinga, and Queens Sports Club in Bulawayo. Zimbabwe are in Group C together with England, Pakistan, Scotland, with the hosts set to play all their group matches at Takashinga in Highfields. As part of the preparations, Zimbabwe will play warm-up matches against the United States of America and New Zealand in Masvingo. So we certainly hope that the young chevrons will make the nation proud. Moving on. Now I can tell you that defending African champions Cote d'Ivoire have named a 16-man squad for the Africa Cup of Nations. And some big news coming through there is that Wilfred Sarr has returned while the man Simon Adingra has been left. So yeah, these guys have so much talent that they can leave big names like this. And moving on to boxing, stakeholders in the combat sport have commended the Zimbabwe National Boxing and Wrestling Control Board for hosting its first ever annual general meeting in Harare this Tuesday, where growing concerns and addressing those sports bottlenecks were taken at hand.
The Zimbabwe National Boxing and Wrestling Control Board is taking steps to professionalize combat sport in the country after hosting its first ever annual general meeting in Harare this Tuesday. Boxing and wrestling have been dogged by a myriad of problems, but stakeholders feel the board is in the right direction in terms of addressing their concerns.
This inaugural AGM is an eye-opener, and they have learned quite a lot, and I can assure you that it's also has set the right direction the board has got to take, and we share the experiences. That it was the most important thing.
Zviri kuratidza kuti bhodhi rakapoindwa riri kuita something, riri kushanda sevanhu vakasvika musha usina kumira zvakanaka, vanhu vachiri kutraya kushepa zvinhu kuti zviratidze direction. Saka we are so happy kuti zvinhu zviri kufamba zvakanaka, zvekuti tinotarisira chero kuti corporate world ipinde pazvinhu tifambe tese ka1.
With boxing promoters complaining over promotion fees, the board is engaging all the stakeholders on the best way forward.
We have tried to benchmark our levies, and we have listened to our stakeholders and our promoters. And what we've done when we had our strategic planning session, we have included our promoters so that we make each other see really where do we go down, where are we going wrong. So this is a journey that we and the stakeholders are going through. It's not something that you can just say, out hanging on its own. This is a complete package.
The board also plans to integrate mixed martial arts next year with the hope of hosting its first ever show.
Good news there coming through from the Zimbabwe National Boxing and Wrestling Control Board adopting good corporate governance strategies there. And that puts a wrap on sports news this evening. It's back to the main desk.
Thanks a lot, Lawrence, with our look at sport tonight, bringing us to the end of tonight's main news. Tari.
Indeed, we'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you for watching and good night.